Is Kansas the best team in the country?
I don't know, man.
Is there a best team in the country?
I don't feel comfortable saying that anybody is the best team.
He's going to say Auburn.
I think Auburn has been the most impressive in terms of what we've seen.
Sure.
When I put together a top 25, I still had Alabama and Kansas as 1 and 2.
Would you, after watching Kansas now, would you keep them at number 1? Or now would you say, you know what,
probably
Auburn's deserved it? Auburn does deserve it.
Here's what I will say about Kansas is that they got a lot of threes out of their offense that I think were shots that they wanted. Like, I think it was very obvious tonight. Their game plan was like, we got a 7'2", fifth-year senior that's been a 4-time All-American. Like, let's get the ball to him when he's being guarded.
Well, it's going to be that every game.
No, I know.
But they saw who was guarding him too.
And then I think,
out of the gates.
Like, I think that like Rylan Griffin got shots that he can make, and Zeke Mayo got shots. I think a lot of the threes they got were threes that Bill Self wanted to take. Now, my question is, did they just have a night where they missed them because they're shooting with that weird Spalding ball that nobody really likes, and they're playing in their first game, and like AJ Storr is still kind of finding his footing, and Zeke Mayo just had an off night? Or is this an issue where I mentioned it on Saturday night? I don't know if you were there, Randolph. You don't have to guard DeJuan Harris. You don't have to guard KJ Adams.
Nope.
You don't have to go out and guard Hunter. Hunter's going to take 1 or 2, 3, 22
So,
games.
like, when you're running things through him in the post, you're already in a situation where you basically have only 2 shooters on the floor because you want to run things through Hunter in the post, and you already only have 2 shooters, and like those guys aren't making shots. So I don't want to say something where I think it's similar to last year. It was clear that Kansas was a team that could win some games, but wasn't going to make a run in March.
Who are the other 2 shooters, though?
Mayo and Griffin.
It's Mayo.
Mayo.
It's Griffin.
Okay.
It's
They
Storr.
need one of them to make shots.
They do.
And if both of them do, they can run away from people.
It's Mayo. It's Griffin. It's Storr.
Mayo likes to
And
play
Storr.
with the ball a lot more. It's not Storr because Storr's more of a driver.
Because Mayo was a point guard last year.
And that's
in
my
South Dakota
point.
State.
And he's playing.
He's got to learn.
He's got to. You
his
got to
role.
give him time to play off the. And that's an adjustment for him.
He's a
It's not-
shooter.
he's-
He shoots 40% from 3. He'll be fine. Griffin is a little bit up and down. He made a couple tonight, a couple big ones. But like I think they're both capable. High 30s. I think.
No. I
they'll be
think
fine.
they'll finish the year that way.
I like that starting lineup with both of them.
I love it with both of them, but the problem is when you don't have both of them on the floor, they're not playing together the entire time. When you don't have after those 2 guys, who else are you worried about making a jump shot for Kansas? That's all I'm saying. Over the course of the season,
There's not. It's just the 3 guys.
I mean,
And that's
Storr
it.
can.
and
Right,
Storr is
Storr can.
capable of making a shot, but you're not fearful of him beating.
was
You're more
wild.
about
He
him
had a bad-
driving.
When you're playing defense against Storr, your game plan against him is like, I'm going to close out short to make sure he doesn't drive.
Yes, that's all I'm
and
saying.
when I get out there, I'm going to contest any jumper that he
Yeah,
makes.
and they're going to defend their ass off. It's Kansas. I'm just nitpicking. They're as good as advertised. I just
You're
worry
right
about
because DeJuan Harris isn't really much of a threat, and KJ is not. He can't.
it puts that much more
Yeah.
pressure on those 2 guys.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to the bench and you sub them, now you got 4 guys out there. And so as the other team is saying, all right, when they go to their bench, hey, which Griffin's in, find him. Other guys you lack off. Hey, Mayo's in.
True.
Find. That's all I'm saying. You're scheming them a little differently.
Yeah.
So it allows you to stay in the game because these 2 teams are similar because they're going to physically mangle you defensively, and they're trying to beat you from the 2 inside the paint. They're trying to control the paint. That style allows you to stick around. That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree with everything you said. I think that DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams are 2 of my favorite role players in college basketball, right? I just
Play
love
so
all
hard,
the stuff
man.
that they bring. And I also
they're all about winning, man.
and I also
So,
think that it's really hard to play with those 2 together on the floor at the same time when you run stuff through the post. Like it makes things difficult to do because things get clogged up in the paint. And they're going to win a lot of games. They're going to guard the hell out of people. They're going to make it very, very difficult for you to score. And it's also going to be something where sometimes the offense is going to look.
And
like
again,
it did tonight.
I'm only saying it from a national championship because that's the expectations in this team.
Yeah,
they're the number 1 team in
Absolutely.
the country. So
Yeah.
I'm only saying
what we're
6
debating.
game stretch.
And
Yes.
that's a good thing you said that.
Yes.
What we're debating here, Kansas fans, is whether or not Kansas is the number 1 team in the country or a top 5 team in America.
Yes.
No,
basically.
we're also
Yeah.
debating. No, I think we're also debating whether or not we're concerned about their perimeter shooting or not.
Over a consistent period
Yes.
of time, is what I'm
Yes.
saying. In March, are we comfortable with this team shooting or the ability to shoot come March?
I think so.
Yes.
I'm
Before
pretty
we-
sure.
When we're talking about Kansas, we're evaluating them as a national championship contender. So, yes, we're going to be critical because that conversation typically gets smaller as the year goes
And
on.
I expect Griffin and Mayo to be the shooters that we're
Yes.
talking about. I just say they
If you do, then what are you worried about?
because they're not going to be there a ton of time, and will they be consistent enough throughout the year? Meaning that when they go out of the game, I'm going to sit there and say, "Hey,
No,
I'm guarding Mayo.
Hey,
the rest of you guys, I'm sitting in the paint."
There's 4 people on this panel right now. 3 of us know ball. 3 of us understand your point, and there's Jeff Goodman.
It's late.
Wow.
It's late.
Well,
Jeff's tired,
before
man.
we go to our interview with Hunter Dickinson, he had 28 and 12 on
Dominant.
13 to 21. What'd you see from him tonight, Jeff?
Dominant.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him licking his chops when he saw who was guarding him to start the game. And I saw him licking his chops
He was.
when he saw who was next.
He was.
And it didn't matter
No.
who they threw at him because Hunter Dickinson, yeah, he just had his way tonight. He had his way.
And
Whoever
when
the
they didn't
offensive
double
end.
him, I thought, all right, he's going for 30, and I
He
thought
could've
this game's going.
he could have went for 50.
I thought
if
I thought they
if
would
kept-
jump.
there was
Right.
a Michigan State fan sitting courtside that was chirping him or something because every time he
Yeah.
scored, like
Yeah.
he looked over
He
at
did.
somebody
He
and
did
he,
this,
and he
did
had something to say.
early.
Like
I mean, he was the
was-
only one who made like a perimeter shot early. He hit a 3. Like
Yeah,
nobody
he was
else.
the only one.
Their shot chart, I want to see it at halftime.
Brutal.
I mean, I'm telling you, I think they took
Kansas or Michigan State.
both.
Both of them. They were both terrible from 3.
Both of them.
The first half of this game, that game was tough.
It
That
was.
was-
Oh,
it was
I was
it's
thinking
like
to
going to the
myself,
dentist.
what are we
tough.
doing down
Yeah,
here?
it was bad.
I mean, it was
telling
absolutely
you, we need
brutal.
that
It's like
first
Atlanta
half.
traffic.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
I mean, the
That's
two
right.
teams shot a combined 8 for 41 from 3. 8 for 41.
It was like watching Rob drag that big thing, the big cart
Let's
around
go to our-
Atlanta.
Let's go to our interview with Hunter Dickinson. We caught up with him after Bill Self breaks Fog Allen's record with his 591st win as
Congrats,
the Kansas
Bill.
head coach. Congrats, Coach Self. Here's our post-game conversation with Hunter Dickinson, the All-American.
Big win over Michigan State. It wasn't pretty, especially in the first half. It was pretty for you offensively. Nobody else could make a shot. What was that first half like?
I mean, it was kind of like a dogfight. It reminded me of Big Ten basketball. I mean, they're a super well-coached team. They play super hard. They run their sets, really effectively. And Coach told us it was going to be a rock fight. That's kind of what it was in the first half. Just super proud of my guys on how they, were resilient and really fought through adversity. We executed down the stretch when we needed to.
I mean, you get Carolina and you get this one. Neither a game where maybe the way people thought it was going to go for the number 1 ranked team in the country, but again, it's so early.
Yeah.
How much do you think fans and other people have to put in perspective where we are in the season?
I mean, when you got to look at it, we still have pretty much a brand new team. Obviously, we have got me, KJ, Juan coming back, but the rest of the guys are pretty much brand new out there, and they're still trying to figure out, how Coach Self coaches and what he's trying to look for and stuff like that, which is hard. It's an adjustment, but they've had great attitude so far, and again, I think we're just scratching the surface, man. Like, we didn't shoot it that well, we didn't play that well, and we still, drug out a really, really hard-fought win, and I think it just goes to show on our resilience and how we executed down the stretch.
That's what I was going to ask you about the perimeter shooting. You didn't shoot it well. How good of a perimeter shooting team can this be, or will this be?
I mean, our best shooter, he didn't hit a 3 today. He didn't probably shoot it the best, but like I said, in there, he had 10 rebounds, 7 assists. I mean, he made winning plays, and that's all you can ask for, really. Like, out there, he's more than just a shooter. Went out there and made plays. Rylan Griffin probably hit the biggest shot of the game in that corner 3 late. That really kind of propelled us to the win. Even though that we weren't shooting it the best, we still grinded out a win, and I think that just goes to show you that you can win in multiple ways with us.
When do you think is a time that we can evaluate this team with all these new pieces? Because people want to judge early. Like, when do you think is a fair time?
I'd say going into the tournament. Give us till then.
That's a
Going
little
into-
late, Hunter.
Well,
how about league play?
I've always thought that, you don't want to be peaking until the tournament. Like, teams peak early, fall off. Some teams are, super ready for league play, and then they fall off. You want to be peaking, early March is when you want to be peaking and playing your best basketball to try to win, a couple straight and win the national championship.